Hey everyone, Happy New Year.
What's
I'm
going on? Happy New
excited.
Yes,
Year. Happy New
yes.
Year.
New Year, Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. It's 2025. We made it. Thank you, God. Welcome to another exciting episode of Romance and Finance, where we're coming to you live every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on all platforms. But please follow us on YouTube at Legacy Builders Us. Go ahead and subscribe, like, and follow so that you can get the notifications when we go live. All right, now, so my name is Tiana. For those who don't know me, I'm a realtor and an interior designer, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host. I have Tawana Singleton, who's a
Hey, guys.
financial literacy coach. Hey, T.
Hey.
I have Rashida Locario, who's a financial strategist as well as a realtor. I have Kayleen Smith, who's also a financial strategist.
What's going on? What's going on?
And we have a very special guest coming tonight. We have Chris Crespo, who is our mortgage loan originator. Shout out to Chris.
Hello, how's everyone?
All right. And so today we are diving into a topic to close very close to all of our hearts, right? Goals. We're talking about goals today, relationship goals for 2025. What does love look like in the near future? And how do we want our relationships to evolve? Let's talk about it.
I mean, absolutely. We're gonna be talking about everything from, emotional growth to communication, and everything that has to do with finance and relationships. Because it's not just about the romance side; it's also more about the partnership between two people. You understand what I'm saying? So let's talk more about it. Let's talk about it.
Right. So let's think about how there's a shift in things. Let's think about how there's a shift in how we view emotional connections. Nowadays it's not just about love, it's about mutual respect, it's about emotional intelligence, it's about understanding.
Hmm.
People want a partner who supports their growth, not just someone who's settling down, with someone.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like as far as the goals, I mean, it's all about perspective. Everyone's fired up, especially in the beginning of the year. And I actually had a conversation with someone. As far as goals go, aside from the goals, what's also important is the discipline. Because just as much as we're fired up, if you're not taking little actions, it'll go away just as easy.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's so true. You have to keep the momentum going. It's good to write things down. I'm a big believer in writing down the goals. That way you can see them as the year progresses, so that you can check them off your
Mm.
list together. So if you and your partner sit down together and I'm all for the vision boards. That's cool, but um, I think writing it down, it just does something to you. It motivates you to just want to check through that list and cross it off.
Mm.
And at the end of the year, you see how much you've overcome and how much you've accomplished together.
Now, I think that's good. Writing it down. Yeah, that's first and foremost, because when you write it down, you manifest it. That's the
Mhm.
first level of manifestation, is actually writing it down on a piece of paper or the vision board. And then also you wanna say it multiple times throughout the day. So there's this thing, I think it's like a 3-6-9 rule, where you say it, whatever the goals are, you say it 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the evening, 9 times before you go to bed at night.
Mm.
Because you have to trick the subconscious into believing what you're saying. Because you just saying it once or twice, you yourself don't believe it yet. You have to say it multiple times in order for those goals to actually manifest into your reality. But no, definitely writing them down is 100% a big thing, huge. You know.
And kind of like to piggyback on what you were saying,
Mm.
a good friend of mine, this is the first time I've ever heard it. We were talking about that goals and writing it down, and the importance of writing it down. He was like, you want to spell out everything. There's a reason why it's called spelling, because when you spell it out, you're casting a spell. In
Mhm.
essence, like if you're
Mm.
writing and you're spelling out your goals, that spell is out in the universe. for it to come true. And I was like, oh wow, you know, my mind just went off. I was like, that's the first time I heard that. It's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which brings me to the point of expectations in your partner. You should have these expectations that they should want to grow with you, right? So it's important to pull them in. Maybe they haven't reached the place where you are yet mentally, right? But we have to definitely focus on evolving in 2025. So let's talk about the evolution of relationship expectations. Right. And what I mean by that is, not too long ago, goals were pretty clear. Everybody wanted to get married, buy a house, have kids. But now that's not really the reality for everybody. Right. Things seem to be shifting a little bit. What are you guys seeing as the main difference between how people approach relationships today versus back in the day?
I mean, I think. Well, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's just a different approach in general. Like back in the day, it was a lot more simple. You got relationships. The male went to work, provided, came home to cook meal. It was pretty simple. You got married and you had kids. Today's day and age, it's completely acceptable for everybody that don't need kids. You don't have to have kids, and a lot of people are having kids later, much later than they did back in the day. Back in the day, they were having kids, early 18, 19, 20. Nowadays, a lot of people having kids in their late 20s, late mid-20s, late 20s, and close to 30s. So now, like, it's just expectations just kind of different in general. I mean, a lot of people are going to college more, and trying to pursue their own dreams. So now it's kind of like a thing where it's just like, all right, hey, right now I'm not really ready to super settle down, but I still want to have a boyfriend or girlfriend. But, I would definitely want to finish this bachelor's real quick, or I want to finish this master's real quick before I really get serious and start having kids. So I think the expectations are kind of different these days, because it's just like everybody has their own personal agenda, and everybody has like a real personal development program for themselves these days, where back in the day it was just like, have kids, put them on a farm, or not a farm, but
what are we Amish? Put them on a farm?
Yeah, I'm Amish. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that's true. T, what is your thoughts about that?
I definitely agree. It's the mindset back then is, and I think like growing up in school, what they put on TV and stuff back then, it was like, oh, have your career, get married, have kids, and then buy a house. Like it was like that was the thing. So it's definitely different now. And we've talked previously about getting into a relationship where you're helping one another, you're growing together. It's not about love no more. We talked about that plenty of times in our previous podcast about it's not about just love no more. It's how you can help each other grow and develop. Nowadays it's just like, all right, what do you bring to the table? So it's definitely way different from way back then.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely a shift in the way we connect emotionally, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, people are more so focused on their mental health. People are signing up for therapy. People are trying to heal past trauma, and then also build businesses and grow generational wealth and legacies. So, and buy land and houses. So people are really more so focused on developing themselves as well. So definitely, if you're going to be in the dating scene, you should definitely be looking to be easily yoked with the other people, right? You don't want to be off. Well, one person is doing everything to evolve, mm-hmm. and the other person is just kind of like stuck in how do I say this word? Content with their lives.
Right.
You have an off balance there. So we want to make sure that you are balanced with your partner in 2025, right?
And it's less pressure to conform to like traditional times. People are waiting to get married now. It's more about compatibility and the connection that you have with that person, versus olden times. So times itself in general has changed the way we view relationships, marriages, the whole nine. I mean, it's not supposed to be the same. I don't I'm not a firm believer of things that has to be traditional. I think we need to grow with the times because times change. The mindset needs to change as well on how we attack things.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. So I think we should tap into some of the comments based off of just that topic that we just touched on. So hey to everybody that's chiming in. We got Denise, we got Miss Kia, we got Linux. So Denise did say, focusing more on a healed relationship with self in order to show up in fullness, which is true. I totally agree with that. And then she said, what's love got to do with it? What's love but a secondhand emotion? I love it, Denise. What song is that, y'all? What song is that?
Don't get me started.
Yes.
Any other comments?
No, that was it for the comments.
That's it for the comments.
I have Steffi Ann on my page. She says, good evening, everybody. Hi, Steph. Shout out to her. So guys, we talked about evolution, right? And we talked about the evolution of relationships. But what about technology and social media? How has that played a role into our relationship goals for 2025? Chris, you got it.
So actually, I do have a comment. It's in Spanish. It's
okay.
Ecuador. They watching. They saying hello to everyone from Guayaquil, and they saying pretty much Happy New Year's or whatnot. So felicidades, Alex. Muchas gracias. And then to kind of like chime in on what you guys were saying, it's pros and cons to times being different, right? Mm-hmm. I do agree that it is different. Again, pros and cons. It's beautiful that people are more aware of their mental health, going to see therapy, trying to heal past traumas, childhood traumas. It's a beautiful thing. However, I also think that the good thing about old school love or the generation before us is that they understood when you get in a relationship, it requires work. Mm-hmm. I feel like nowadays, there's so many options out there, especially with social media, that when something doesn't go right, it's pretty easy to be like, you know what? I'm not feeling this. Next. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, as much as you work on yourself, you also have to understand that when you're in a relationship with someone, it's no longer just about you.
Absolutely.
It's no longer your decisions of what you want to do. You got to consider your partner's feelings, emotions, everything, and it requires work. Yes, there's love is a big component, but love requires work at the end of the day.
Right. I
Real
totally
love.
agree. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. We live in like a microwave society, right? Everybody wants things fast. And we are a lot of the generation today is very selfish. So I agree with you. Everything is basically self-centered, Mm-hmm. You saying personal development going too far. It's like take a step back and think about your partner. We have, let's see, Links Charming says destroyed it with expectations, nonsense, and manipulation. Mm-hmm. So that's what they feel about what social media has done to relationships now. Victoria says, this is interesting to hear. My husband and I love each other, build together, and heal together. Yes, Chris, it's work.
Right.
That's a good point, though. No, love is really work, though, because I think, like you said, today it's a microwave society where social media is kind of like you get instant gratification because social media allows us to like really put our opinion out there without, instantly. So you automatically know what people are thinking, what people are looking like. Where back in the day it was simple. Back in the day when cell phones were just coming out, if we had a time to meet up and we didn't meet up, or you wasn't at the phone by the time you said, hey, I'm gonna be at school at 3:00, be at the phone by 6. If you miss that call, you're done. You know what I mean? But now, these days, like every move is tracked. Every move, you can see somebody, see what they're doing, where they're going, and a lot of people are expressing themselves. But to the point, love is work. It just takes time. I mean, to be one person for a long period of time, you're gonna go through a lot of seasons, not just 4 seasons. If you're with somebody for years, you know, you're gonna see the ups, the downs, you know, the high, the lows, the attitudes, the good times, the extra sweet times, the extra bitter times. Like, it's a mixture of all of that, and a lot of people don't realize that it really does take work. And you know, love is a key a point of it, but really it's just a commitment. You know, commitment is serious, that you're committing to this person and really going through a long journey together. You know.
Right. So yeah, go ahead, Kay.
No, I was gonna say I think that. No, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Oh no. I was just gonna say, like, yeah, and then the other thing with social media too, everyone loves to post the good stuff. But you really don't get to see behind the scenes. You know, and I wish more people would show behind the scenes so that people can really see that you're not alone in that problem. You know, I feel like a lot of people in relationships, they think they're alone, that they're the only ones who's going through those trial and tribulations. But that's not the case, because even the most successful love story has gone through the most trial and tribulations in their relationship, which led them to be so successful and reach that height of love that, you know, you see in movies and stuff like that.
And the longevity of a marriage too, or a relationship for that matter. It's people who've been together longer than married couples in striving, like 20, 25 years, who's not legally married. So like you said, it takes hard work and stuff. And just to touch back on the whole social media part of it, is, you know, like back in the days, we didn't have all the social media, right? So we did courtship. Men used to actually court women. They don't do that no more. And nowadays with the social media, everything has changed. Like we said, the microwave, people are meeting other people through apps now and dating apps and stuff. And you're talking through text messages. There's like no real, what happened to talking to people face to face, where you can actually see the person's expression, see where they're coming from. You know, body language tells a lot about a person as well. It's not just, you know, the words. So the social media definitely has changed the game.
Social media has definitely changed the game. I mean, to your point though, like, you know, I heard it in your voice, T. You're like, man, it used to court. So,
yes, because I'm old school. That's why I'm old school.
So let me ask you. So what are some expectations, I guess, in general, that everybody thinks for relationships? With that said, you know, you said a lot of women expect to be courted and miss the courting part of relationships. Like, what are the expectations then with the new generation, with the times changing? What are kind of, in everybody's opinions, what are the expectations now?
I think nowadays, and you know, that just taps right into what our podcast is really about, is not just the romance, but the finance part. So let's talk about the finance. A lot of people nowadays, you know, it's about the money. It's how can you help financially? Are you taking me out? Are you buying me Louis bags? Are you getting my hair done? Are you getting my nails done? I personally, and this is just from, you know, again, tapping into social media, seeing different things that pop up. And like just the other day, we saw a reel where the guy gave her a budget on going out to eat. He was like, listen, your budget is $30.
$30.
He was like, your budget is $30. And, you know, a lot of females is these days, from what I'm seeing, that's it. Money plays a big part right now. It's no more dating and taking me out, getting to know me. Nobody. I feel like some of the things that I've seen lately, buying a female roses or having them delivered is just not a thing. Like they're like, what is that? You know, females is like, what is that? Why are you wasting your money on flowers and stuff like that? To me, that's courtship. That's courting. That's a just because gift, like a card saying I'm thinking of you or something like that. Females ain't trying to hear that these days. At least from what I'm seeing. But
so I mean, yeah, I mean that's a good point. I mean, I like that you brought that up in terms of actual goals of financial goals. Now, do I think it's extreme to put it on a $30 budget? Not necessarily. You know, that's not necessarily, you know, a budget that I would use or think, you know, a lot of men will use. Actually, not. Let me not say that. I think that is a good consensus. I think the reality of the situation is just the creativity, because the truth is, to Chris's point, like people don't show the behind the scenes. The behind the scenes in that situation is the guy that put that $30 budget. Maybe he only had, legitimately $30 to spend. Now, what he should have done instead of telling her $30 a budget, he should have been creative. He should have been like, hey, let's just go on a coffee date and get to know each other. I just want to have your undivided attention. Let's have a cup of coffee and grab a donut and just get to know each other. Now, that's creative. From a woman's ears, it sounds real good and sweet. From his pockets, he's keeping that under $30. You know what I mean? So, I think it's about the creativity in those type of situations. But, we are in finances. So the truth is you do got to create a budget. Because to everybody's point, even the point you brought up earlier on, Tawana, where it was just like, hey, in today's day and age, women are expecting a lot money-wise. You want to be able, from a male perspective, be able to budget yourself because you can get carried away. Because if the expectation is, women want you to spend some more money and you're going on dates, you want to be able to taper it a little bit just to get out of control. Because imagine if, I think I saw a video where this girl's in Miami, and I get it, it's in Miami, and the going rate out there spending on dates like $300 to $800. I was like, that's crazy. I could never live out there though. Like that's wild numbers. But imagine if you can only go on that type of date once every 5 months, in my opinion. So you really got to tape and figure out what your financial situation is and what you can really afford and just get creative with it. At the end of the day, that's kind of a little solution for myself.
I think a lot of times, like when we talk about goals, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times when a person is getting into a relationship, they're thinking about their personal goals, but they're not thinking about the goals for the relationship on what that's set out to be. Right. When it comes to finance, because we're in finance, right? Even that same example with the guy who took the lady out and her budget was $30. Why would you even go to a restaurant? Like you said, like a restaurant, you order appetizers and a drink, that's already $30, $40, $50. You get what I'm saying? So why wouldn't you put in the work to do the research to know that that's not even the place that you should be taking the woman if your budget is the number that it was? Doesn't make any sense, and then he had the nerve to get mad at her like she was doing something wrong in that situation, but he didn't take the proper time to do the research, to put in the work to know that my guy, take her, like you said, on that coffee date, right? So I think a lot of times we don't take the time to actually, when we're actually getting into a relationship, because a relationship, a lot of people don't realize it's still a business. If you have to conduct that relationship like a business, why aren't we talking about, why are we talking about the person's credit? You don't have to talk about your credit on the first date. No, but that should be one of the things that you should be talking about. How good is your credit? Do you own a property? Do you want to have more children in the future? What's your goals? What's your expectations? These are the things that, people should be talking about. But a lot of times, we're not having these conversations. We're too afraid to have the conversations. And the irony in it is that most relationships fail due to financial hardships. So why aren't we having these conversations from day one? You get what I'm saying? And that's the thing that I feel like a lot of people, it kind of goes over their head when it comes to, dating and in relationships. So I think when it comes to 2025, let's do that more. Let's have these real conversations about money. Let's not be afraid to talk about money. We're afraid to talk about. Let's talk more about money all the time, because it's what makes our relationship. It's not everything. Don't get me wrong, but it's that's why we weigh it out on the Libra scale. Look at that romantic finance right there. That's why it's on the Libra scale. The money with the love, because it's a huge part of it. Plays a huge role.
Go ahead, Chris.
I agree.
I was gonna say. So, is it fair to ask, as far as expectations go in a relationship? Can we ask what stage in the relationship are we talking about? Because I think expectations would be different depending on the stage of the relationship. Whether is it when we first meet, is it when some time is already involved? Because they're like to Kay's point, I feel like that kind of conversation I would have after I got to know my partner for some time, to have some real discussions. Because now at that point I already know, like, okay, this is a person that I potentially want to spend the rest of my life with. So now let me get down to the real questions, because in the beginning it's just, let me see who you are as a person, if we gonna fit or whatnot, because my expectation in the beginning is different from when we have some time together now.
Yeah, I agree with Chris on that point. We need to get back to we just got one of our commenters talking about Denise. Shout out to her, who said we need to get back to building relationships, right? Because that's what's important. You can't just. I agree. You can't just jump off and start talking about credit because it's too much pressure, right? It's a lot of pressure in the beginning. Let's get back to learning how to love and to fall in love again, right? I feel like this is the year that we need to move away from all the pressure of social media. Stop focusing on all these reels and the perfect couple and what your man or woman is or is not doing in comparison to other people's relationships. You cannot compare your relationship to other people's relationships, right? So we need to focus more on connection. And so it's not about how many likes we're getting or on a photo or going and sharing a moment and you're not even enjoying the moment because you're so busy worried about posting it right away so people know where you are.
Right.
Like, relax.
Right.
Yeah.
Spend time with your partner. Like Chris said, get to know the person that you with so that you can make sure that this is a good person, that this person has a good, clean heart, right? Because you can basically build and buy houses with anybody, with a demon.
Well, you can. I think it's fair to gauge. Everybody's timeline is different. How you can. That's why they call it a connection, because there is no time frame on it. You can connect with somebody in a month. That connection could happen in 3, 6, a year. So whatever time frame that works for you. But it in general, it's still important to ease into those conversations of the financial aspect because it's too hidden. It's way too hidden, and I think it's just something that we need to just like practice to bring in the forefront. And it don't got to be like super personal to where you're making a person feel less than or inferior. It's more about them understanding where your head is at. What are part of the goals, because it's going to be hard to reach those goals without the financial aspect of it, so just putting that to the forefront and still letting it be known like this is important. This is just as important as the love.
Okay, well, guys, let me ask you another question. Okay, what is success for you, and what does a successful relationship mean in this day? Well, what does it mean to you?
I mean, generally speaking, for overall male perspective, a successful relationship is probably, a woman that's gonna hold them down, that's loyal, that's gonna help them achieve, all their goals, and in turn, you can help her achieve her goals, at some point. So just working to get together towards, ultimate goal, you know what I mean, and just meshing morals and just being on the same page. But yeah, it's just really just about building together. I mean, to answer your question, it goes back to what Kadeen was just saying earlier on as far as building the connection, and to the point where both of you were saying, just taking your time to get to know somebody. I mean, to piggyback what you said earlier on, T, where you got to make that time to piggyback. You gotta actually enjoy the dinner instead of taking selfies at the dinners and taking the pictures of the meal. Because I am tired of the plate pics. Like I know there's a lot of nice restaurants out here, but I'm tired of the plate pics. But to your point, it is about building that connection. And I mean, what helps with that too, because we are solution based, is framing. First off, for the fellas, tell you the truth, just be yourself. Just frame it. You just got to frame the conversation so you don't come off like you're trying to be cheap. I mean, rip the Band-Aid off. If you're going on a date with a woman and you have a $30 or $50 budget, you got to be upfront. Hey, listen, I just got paid this week. I'm on limited money, so I just want to go to this restaurant and have the appetizer and the drink, for each of us. And you set that tone from the beginning. The woman's either going to do one of two things or a few things. She's either going to completely flake on you, and that's okay because we experienced that back in the day. We know about the flakiness. So either she's going to flake on you, or she's going to be like, oh, in this day and age, she's probably going to tell you, hey, you're not for me, you're too cheap, or she's going to be like, okay, let me see what happens. It's only a few scenarios that's going to happen in that situation. So I think, for the men, when we're talking about that type of dynamic, just rip the Band-Aid off. Just tell her up front what it is. She can only say no. And it's not the end of the world. Life goes on. And the truth is, if you tell her the truth, and that's your raw, true, genuine intention, and she wasn't the one for you, she's just like, no, or she's just not in that place that you're at, and that's okay. And I think that's the problem, where people are not okay with people not accepting where they're at, or accepting that everybody's not gonna like you. You know what I mean? Everybody's not going in the same direction. Everybody's not taking the same path. Everybody's not in the same place in life. If you're in one place and the other person could be in another place. You could be in the stage of, hey, I'm just trying to finish my college degree. I can't spend no money. So, and the other person you're dating could have finished their degree and now they're making money. So you got to establish and gauge where that person's at. But the first thing is ripping the Band-Aid off. Like, the main point of our date is to go out, have a drink or two max and an appetizer, and get to know each other to see if we will work. That's the problem. A lot of people are not okay with trying to see if this is going to work. They're too scared. But you got to see if it don't work. Why waste all this money and dates and not asking real questions? So that's kind of my take.
Okay. So you're saying you got to set realistic expectations from the beginning. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. It's way easier.
Okay.
If you say no up front, you don't have to worry about saying yes. The one thing, and just to let you jump in 2 seconds, T, the one thing that I live by is way harder to say yes. You know what I mean? Like, it's easier to say no,
Yeah. Okay. And so I wanted to piggyback to what you said about building together. You said a successful relationship would be a relationship where they're able to build together, right? Which I agree, but I also think a successful relationship to me is being emotionally connected with the partner, being able to communicate. Because how do we get through problems together? Because that could be a big thing. We could build together, but what happens when conflicts happen? Like Chris said earlier, when things get rocky, are you nasty? Do you communicate in a nasty way? Do you neglect me? Do you make me feel emotionally, distance from you? When things are not going good, when money is not right, when the credit goes down, because we know how credit goes, it fluctuates, right? We come into problems all the time, especially in this real estate game. We know how things go. Your credit could be great one year and not so great the next year. You can have an amazing job one year, and then the next year you lost the job. So,
girl, not even just a year, 2 months.
Okay,
the credit score be dropping 30 days.
You almost paid off the car, and now it's about to break down. Now you're back to one car. So it's like all kinds of problems can arise. How do we get through these problems together? Are we able to communicate? That to me is a successful relationship. Building with somebody who could stand the test of time with you.
Yeah, and just to add to what you say, just real quick, I would say to you, we're saying the same thing. And that's why this is good in talking about relationships. We're saying the same thing, because the concept of building is that if you're a builder, you have to build. So that means that one brick may be heavy and it may fall off and you got to start over. So we're saying the same thing, because the premise of building is building. You know what I mean? So it is building that relationship. It is building that longevity. It is facing that problem, because we all know, like, if you're building, and like you said, we in real estate, if a couple bricks is off, it'll mess up the whole foundation. So it definitely really is one of those things where we're both saying the same thing. But that, to your point, I love what you said. I love what you said.
I also think, like, with that, another part, a key part to that for a successful relationship is accountability on both parties, male and female. One of the things to help build together and to be connected, you got to be able to hold yourself accountable. It can't be just one side that they're right, and that the other side feels more hurt than the other. It's like I always say, for there to be a reaction, there had to be an action, and that goes both ways. So I feel like a successful relationship would be, there has to be accountability from both and understanding, because we're, at the end of the day, we're individuals. We operate different. We think different. We were brought up differently. And I think one of the hardest things to do is to become one, taking two different thoughts, two different mentalities, two different things, and then just becoming one.
Because it's a partnership.
Yes, I was just going to say that. It's a partnership. It definitely should be more in a partnership type of thing. It emotionally, financially, spiritually, like, definitely a partnership. And we know that's not always the case. Just from hearing from different people, who work with us, married couples, you have one spouse who has a mindset for a goal to go this way and like, okay, I need to build, let's do this. And then you have the other partner who financial literacy isn't there. How do we help people and our clients who work with us where one partner wants to get their credit and stuff together because they want to build businesses, they want to, create a legacy, but then they have the spouse who's about spending. And this is a marriage that we're talking about that's been together for probably like 10 plus years. It's just like that one spouse just never on board with that person. Like how do we help people like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, just to piggyback off what you're saying, Tawana, how we help people by that is go to www.legacybuildersus.com. I had to jump in with that commercial moment right there. No, but definitely. The truth is, though, all jokes aside, we do have those conversations. So, this is Romance and Finance, and to your point, Tawana, you bring that up, that we really do have those conversations because we do have married couples, boyfriend, girlfriends, different types of couples that run into those issues. So in all honesty, it really is going to our site and book an appointment because we have those uncomfortable conversations where it's like, listen, one partner is saying, hey, I'm going in this direction. And sometimes we have to counsel both partners at the same time or separately to get to a goal as far as getting ready to get a house. Like one person's credit score might be XYZ. The other person might be at a 700, other person might be at a 600. And we got to have conversations with the couple together. And sometimes we got to have a conversation separately. So it's definitely one of those things where, it is where we do a little bit of counseling. So, but yeah, that's my take on it. And I definitely think we should get to some of the comments too. Looks like a few people have been commenting since we've been talking also.
All right. So, we got a lot of comments.
Oh, yeah. We got
okay.
About a few more minutes, so we might as well go ahead and tap into their comments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let me just start with Sani says a lot of rich folks miserable because they have zero emotional security. Link says successful relationships are people who are on the same page emotionally, financially, physically, spiritually, and mentally, and psychologically. Link says a lot of them are happy too, to Sanise's comment about the rich folks. She said a lot of them are also happy. All right. You feel like money makes you happy? She says if they're getting serious with you, we got to get a joint account and life insurance on each other and work on our credit. Let me see if you're serious.
I love that. Absolutely. Get a policy. Yes.
Yes, Denise.
No, that was Links who said that.
Oh, Links
that was Links. Okay. There we go.
And then we have someone else says some folks supposed to stay toxic. Victims and narcissists fall in love all the time. Everybody needs somebody to entertain their BS. So essentially, a successful relationship looks different for everybody on different levels of frequency. We're speaking what success looks like to people with common sense, and that's not common. Okay. 2 snaps in a pop. Victoria says deliverance. Shout out to Victoria because she's on our YouTube.
Yes.
I know she's subscribed. All right. And shout out to Sanish. She dropped the website in the comments. Thank you so much for all your support. She's always looking out. And then we have one last comment here. Link says, help them by showing them how they're not on the same page. Links is not coming to play. He said, help them by showing them how they're not on the same page and remaining at the same level. If one person is growing and the other person isn't, the marriage is stagnant and has a ceiling financially. She's not coming to play in 2025. I think we need to, yeah.
Could we also put the YouTube in the comment section? Our YouTube in the comment section too. Yeah, let's put that there too.
Yes.
I have some comments on my side too.
Okay.
I have someone else. Shout out to Myra. She said hello to everyone. And then I have a comment from Ray. His question is, well, it's a question. Can a man be vulnerable in front of his woman in the beginning, or do they need to be together for a while?
You gotta give some time.
Ooh.
That's the good one. You brought this up at the end of the show. You gotta address this one.
That's a
though.
whole nother 20-minute
That's a
conversation.
topic.
That's an episode of
little bit, though. You
We
can touch a little
we
bit,
might
though.
need to have to do a part 2 on that. That's a conversation in itself.
Lick said never.
Listen, it is a part of setting expectations, though. That is good. We got to at least touch on it, though. I mean, my 2 cents as far as overall as a general consensus is that you can't show all that emotion in the beginning. I think, in terms of that, it's okay to show some emotions, that you have emotions, but I don't think you can get carried away with it from a male presence, just because I think from a psychological standpoint, if it's too much emotions showed in the beginning from a male perspective, it's not going to bode well in terms of, and this is not all women, just generally speaking, confidence wise. I don't think, many females are going to be extra confident in the male that shows too many emotions in the beginning. You know what I mean? You can be vulnerable. You got to show that you have emotions. You can't get blood from a stone, but you can't also be crying when you're watching the movie together.
Well,
Go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom and cry.
Better say it's your allergies.
I think that you get to show that with the type of questions that's being asked and how you answered. It shows how kind of like vulnerable you are a little bit, But to your point, Rashidi, I agree. I don't think as a man you could be too vulnerable in the beginning, because even though this is my opinion, even though women say, yeah, no, I wanna see your vulnerable side. But when you show that too much, especially in the early stages, they're like, oh, I don't know if he could lead. And
man up.
Yeah, exactly. Man up.
I'm just playing.
Yeah, I agree with you, fellas. Like, yeah, showing too many emotions too early, yeah, that's never a good sign. Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Link said never, but I wouldn't go as far as say never, but you just gotta pick and choose when that time is right to show that side.
I like
we're still as men, we're still like, we still have masculine and feminine energy.
Yeah.
So you still got to be able to show that side to it at some point. But like I said, just be wise when you do it and how you do it.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
we
woo.
are at 7:42, guys. Let's be mindful.
All right, guys, that's our time. It's been wonderful. I really enjoyed this conversation, this topic. Thank you for joining us. Join us back at the same time, same place. Also, subscribe to our YouTube. We're going to be here each and every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're bringing romance and finance. We're bridging the gap, talking about topics that may be uncomfortable, and just helping you all through this 2025 year and beyond, hopefully. So visit us on our website, www.legacybuildersus.com. And Chris, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, you're always in the comments. And so to have you on tonight was amazing. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And
All right,
real quick, see, where else do they find us? On our Facebook group page, all that type of stuff, just so they can look for us everywhere.
Okay, everywhere, because we're everywhere, right? We're on Facebook we're on Facebook under Legacy Builders. We have the L/B. Make sure that you look for our logo. And we are on YouTube, I believe I said, at Legacy Builders Us. And then you can find us on Instagram at Legacy Builders Us. We're making it very easy for you guys. Try to make it clear across the board. So yes, follow us on all platforms. And we'll soon be joining TikTok as long as they don't ban it.
Oh, and lastly, on March 15th, we got some time, but March 15th, we are having our Finance and Fund events. Shout out to anybody who's been coming through supporting us for our Finance and Fund events in the past, but we're actually having an up and coming Finance and Fund event March 15 in Stamford, Connecticut. That's going down. We'll give you guys more details on the next call that we have next week. Just wanted to kind of put that out there, March 15th.
All right. Shout out to everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we will see you all next week, same time. Peace.
Good night, guys.
Good night.